The other big news today on COVID and the debacle of how this White House has mishandled it is news provided to us from Congressman James Clyburn, the veteran congressman from South Carolina, who's the head of the select committee that was set up in the House to work on COVID issues. Clyburn and his select committee have just released to the public 6 weeks of private White House reports about COVID in the states. These are reports that were not going to be released to the public were it not for Jim Clyburn and his committee doing so. These private reports show that on September 13th, just after Labor Day, the White House identified 18 states in the country as so-called red zones in terms of having worrying numbers of new cases or a worrying proportion of positive test results. 18 states in the red zone right after Labor Day. That warning from the White House included blunt language about how sharply cases were rising specifically in the state of Wisconsin. This was a White House warning right after Labor Day. Nevertheless, 4 days later, September 17th, President Trump held a large, mostly mask-free, no social distance rally in Wisconsin, where his White House had just warned them they needed to take new measures, increasingly dramatic measures, to slow the spread of the virus. By September 27th, 2 weeks later, the White House was warning that the number of red zone states was no longer 18, it was 22. The following week, October 4th, it wasn't 22 states in the red zone, it was 24. The week after that, October 11th, it wasn't 24 states in the red zone, it was 27. The week after that is this week. And their report for October 18th says it is now 31 states in the red zone. A big majority of U.S. states in the most worrying category in terms of new case numbers and the percent of tests that are positive. And these are White House warnings. This inexorable rise in states that are in trouble on the White House's own metrics, while the president has said over the course of these same 6 weeks that we are rounding the corner. We're rounding the turn. It's going away. The end of the pandemic is in sight. Right? All while the Trump White House has been privately sending these reports to the states about the virus overtaking state after state after state after state, to the point where there are now more states in trouble, more states in the worst category, more states in the red zone than there have been at any other time in the pandemic since the White House started keeping these records. While the president says everything's fine, it's going away. By the way, come to my rally, no mask required. After releasing these reports that had previously not been shown to the public, Congressman Clyburn said this today, quote, "The reports released today show that the White House has been aware since just after Labor Day that cases were rising dramatically around the country. The White House chose to hide these reports, even as President Trump claimed publicly that the coronavirus affects virtually nobody, and hosted potential super-spreading events in states the task force warned had rising cases, states including Wisconsin and Minnesota and North Carolina."